Um, a very good evening to everybody. This is a panel discussion on celebrating the 429th birthday of the city of Hyderabad, and I'm delighted to have with me a panel of experts on the city, experts on heritage conservation, experts in tourism, and the purpose of getting all of us together here is to see if we could celebrate this day, October 7th, every year as the Foundation Day of Hyderabad. And among the panelists, we have uh, Satrupa Dattaji of India Tourism. She is the Assistant Director of India Tourism in Hyderabad. And along with her, we also have Kedareshwari ji, who was a curator with SJM in Calcutta, who was also instrumental in organizing the 300 years anniversary in the city of Calcutta. After that, we also have with us Shahnawaz ji, who was an ex-principal of CSIIT, who's a professor and also was instrumental in organizing Sikandrabad 200 along with Vasanta Sobhaji. We have our dear historian of the city, Sajjad Shahid ji, who's also a professor at M. Manu, Maulana Azad Urdu University. So joining us very soon would be Andrew Fleming, the Deputy British High Commissioner to the city of Hyderabad. And to begin with, I would request each one of them to share their opinions, their thoughts for a few minutes. And then I would open the session to a group discussion or to more ideas and to also question and answers from all of us. I can see that we've been live for almost 2 minutes now, and about 20 people are watching us live on YouTube. But this video will remain on YouTube afterwards, so the link could be shared with people on social media, and this could be used uh, to share this discussion much later. So I would invite Sajjad ji first, being a true bred Hyderabadi and also an active crusader for the heritage conservation of Hyderabad. Uh, he's been very instrumental in running various campaigns and uh, various various such projects in the past. So I would invite him to share his thoughts to begin with, and then we will go one by one, sharing our ideas and thoughts, and eventually we would have a discussion and probably some question and answer. The program is scheduled for about an hour, hour and a half, but it's flexible. We could go slightly longer than that if people are interested. So we would request Sajjad Shahid ji, because he's from Hyderabad, to know the context of how the city was founded, about why we need to celebrate such commemorative occasions as a city. And after that, I would request Assistant Director of India Tourism Hyderabad, Satrupa Datta ji, to share a presentation about Indian tourism and the efforts and initiatives of India Tourism with respect to how to promote Hyderabad as a city for its heritage and for its, for all of its, whatever it has got to offer. So over to you, Sajjad, sir. Thank you so much for accepting to be a part of this gathering, this discussion.
My pleasure. Well, it's difficult to go first. 2 points which I was told would be the focus of today's panel discussion was 7th October and its relevance and making this an annual event. 7th October per se, I don't think has that much of a significance for the people of Hyderabad at least, because first of all, the only history which mentions this date or its equivalent in the Hijri calendar is dates from relatively recent times. I think 1848 is when Roshan Lily wrote the book or the pamphlet, if you call it. It's hardly 10, 12 pages. Tozake Qutub Shah. And that is the first time that you find mention of 11999 as the day on which Tazia was placed, and a year later Charminar was constructed. There are a lot of problems there. The first problem is the date at which this history is written. It is almost 200 years after the event, or 250 years to be closer to the date. The second is we don't find any other sources which speak of this date as being the day Hyderabad was found. We have a very flowery description of the day on which the concept of the city was first thought about. So it was something like when the moon was in the constellation of Leo and Jupiter. Some astrologer or astronomer or whatever profession uh, deals with such things has to tell us what day would that be as per the position of stars. But that's the only hint we have of the exact date on which this idea of having a new city came about. And I also doubt uh, 1000. It's supposed to be a millennial city, the first millennia of the Islamic calendar, year 1000. Sources saying that the construction started in 999. We have the chronogram for the completion of Charminar as Ya Hafiz, or O Protector. The chronogram yields a digital value of 1000. So we know that 1000 Charminar was completed. I don't think it would have been completed in just 1 year. 999, same day you are having a Tazia place there. 1 year later, the Charminar is being inaugurated. So that is one point. And even then, if you consider the date as being somewhat relevant, the point arises whether 9th, 7th October was important, or 1000, the first day of Muharram, the new year of the Islamic calendar. That is important. So that is a problem. I have difficulty in understanding. So it can be any date, and there has to be some connection, and we can find connection as connections have been found before to mark such occasions. But exact founding of Hyderabad, the exact date is difficult. So I would prefer not to go into that, but to find a convenient date and go ahead with it. That was the first point. Because when you have all these flowery things, and there's no mention of the importance of it being a millennial year as far as the Hijri calendar is considered, is surprising. So these are the 3-4 reasons why I feel that 7th of October will not have much relevance there. Secondly, about having a regular annual event. Now, that is not a new idea. It has been tried before and tried very successfully. In 1958, we had the first great event marking celebration of the city and the founder, mostly of the founder, because city, of course, is made up of people, and it's the person who laid out the city who was considered to be the most important figure. So we had this Mohammed Quli Qutub Shah being celebrated. This first celebration was held in 1958. It was a 3-day event, a huge success. Thousands and thousands of people participated, and we are lucky to have a very comprehensive record, right from the beginning, reportage of everything that happened, the planning, the newspaper coverage, everything is in a volume which was published by Dr. Zor a few months after. The date he chose, incidentally, was 11th January. Now, again, there I have this thing, but then again, the date had to be chosen, which related to Mohammed Quli, because Mohammed Quli was being portrayed as the essence of the whole Telangana and the Qutub Shahi culture of medieval culture. So, and it was necessary politically. There had been changes, so there was a need to bring Quli and Telangana and the contributions of the Qutub Shahi to the fore. So this Pageant started off on 11th. They were followed by a seminar on 12th and a grand closing ceremony on the 13th. If you look at the report of what all happened there, you had a procession which started from Charminar with the Mahi Barateb on an elephant, followed by all historic modes of conveyance. There was a procession, that went. You have photographs of all that in the publication that I'm talking about. So Mohammed Quli, first 1958, it continued to be celebrated every year for almost more than a decade, I think. But then you have a problem again. When it started, 11 January was fine. 11 January 1958 was fine. But by the time we come into 1960, I think it was around 1965 or 66. 1966, 11th of January coincided with the 1st or 2nd of Ramzan or somewhere in the early Ramzans. You couldn't have a celebration there. So what happened was there was small change. They marked the day with part of the celebrations that they had earlier, but then the actual celebrations were postponed to February. That continued till around 70, 71, 70, I think. Then somehow it fizzled out. There were a lot of other issues going on. War was there. There were other issues that needed the attention of the masses. It was revived again sometime in the late 70s or early 80s. I don't remember the exact date. Dr. V.K. Bhawa was instrumental. The late Bilqis Alauddin was instrumental. So Mohammed Quli again started then. But it lasted for only a couple of years and fizzled out. 5-6 years back, there was an attempt again to revive it, but there were not many takers. So my problem now is I'm not sure how many people are interested in celebrating the founding of Hyderabad or the culture of Hyderabad on that scale. Now, if you look at the 1958 celebrations, after the procession went on the elephant and all that other vehicles and everything. They marched from Charminar till Mohammed Quli's tomb. There were at least 5 or 6 governors, sitting governors then present in the various functions. You had Madina then still there. You had an exhibition. You had Chadar-e-Gul there. You had recitation of Mohammed Quli's Marsiyas. You had fireworks at the tombs. Then you had a seminar. You had Hawali at the tomb. You had a grand dinner. The dinner tradition continued till even when it was revived. The dinner, Chowki dinner at the tombs, was again revived. So you have had all these things. So instead of 7th October, some convenient date, maybe if you want continuity, maybe 11th of January, if it is convenient. Because again, today, if actually we had celebrations today, I and most of the other Hyderabadis would not have been able to participate. I'm here in front of you because of COVID. Otherwise, I would have been in some majlis, because as of a couple of hours ago, Arbain has started. So this is the 40th day after the martyrdom. So it's a very important occasion for the people of Hyderabad. You have I would have been in a majlis if it had been in normal times. So that clash will also be there. If you have a Gregorian calendar, if you are following, you'll have problems and you'll have to have postponements. So a rigid date, I think, is difficult, but as much as possible, you can come, if you're focusing, because you have to focus on the personality of Mohammed Quli. Hyderabad, talking about Hyderabad and its history is difficult to talk about it without referring to the personality. And the greatest personality that we have had in Qutub Shahi times, and of course, even till now, I think one of the greatest sons of the soil, citizen of Hyderabad, Golkunda, Hyderabad, has been Mohammed Quli. So without Mohammed Quli, it is difficult. So I think that was the idea Dr. Zohar had when he started off. Of course, those days we had a lot of people. We have Inayat Jang still active. He was chairman of the reception committee. We had Mahdi Nawaz Jang actively not even participating, but also commandeering material from even the Salajang Museum, bringing it out for display. Actually, it was still in the old building then, I think. I'm not very sure, but the function primarily, the seminar and all was held in Salajang's Devdi. Salajang's estate was a major sponsor. So you had people who were interested in Hyderabad's culture and heritage, people who were ready to come forward. And if you look at just the documentation, you have, I think, 20 sources from which materials brought for the exhibitions. So it would be, I think, more in the interest of continuity and interest of furthering what was conceived by the earlier generation. I would prefer it to be Mohammed Quli revived again. I will, come in again if I have to, and if I'm asked to later. But these are the 2 points that I wanted to raise. Back to you, Gopal Krishna.
Thank you so much, sir. One second. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I do agree with you that in the spirit of continuity, I think we should go ahead with the date that was used earlier. And I completely agree with you on that. Thank you for enlightening us about those aspects that at least I wasn't aware of, some of these. We would now like to invite the Assistant Director, India Tourism Hyderabad, Satrupa ji. And I would invite her to share a presentation with her about India tourism, which I would be showcasing in a second. Just give me a minute to set it up.
Before you share the presentation, can you hear me? Yeah, before you share the presentation, let me just give you an introduction. Good evening, the panelists. And some of you I'm working for the first time, and some of you I have worked with before, like Kedareshwari ji, Dr. Kedareshwari ji, and also Vasan Shobha ji. We have worked before, and some of you I am working for the first time, including Gopal Krishna. Gopal Krishna I met by chance. By chance he gave me a Facebook message, and from there we are here in the webinar, in this meeting. But today, let me tell you, my viewers and also my panelists, I'm not endorsing any brand. I'm not, doing anything of that sort. But I'm here as a citizen of Hyderabad, as a citizen of Telangana, speaking to other citizens who share a common passion for history and romance and heritage. So actually, history is fine. Romance is also beautiful, and we all enjoy a good experience. We all enjoy a good touring experience. When you come to Hyderabad or any part of Telangana, we have a lot of historical monuments or a lot of heritage sites. But what about numbers? When it comes to numbers, we falter a little because we don't know how to convert our passion for history and heritage into a profession. So that is where we are lacking. So let me just explain it to you very briefly what Government of India is doing to help you out. Because what happens is that in Hyderabad, I find a lot of people who are very active in knowing the history, enjoying it. They enjoy it, and they are a lot of them are into conservation work as well. But when it comes to the tourism point of view, when a tourist is coming from outside India or maybe any domestic place from India only, they're coming to Telangana or Hyderabad. They're looking for a good person who can take them around and who can show them the monuments around, explain a little bit of history, the stories, that beautiful interlink when the history and stories and romance, they all come together. Magic happens. They're looking for that magical experience. They don't know where to go, which person they would choose. And that is where we are coming in. We have come up with a 6 months course. It is called IITFC, Incredible India Tourist Facilitator Certification Course. So it is about the cultured, educated presentable people to step in as facilitators. When the tourist is coming to our country, they are looking for you. They are looking for your expertise, your talent, your skill, your language skill, your art of storytelling, and in many people's case, the beautiful experience they have had in their long career. So if you are willing to impart your knowledge with the tourist, you can visit this website, www.iitf.gov.in. Gopal Krishna, can you please share the screen? Can you please share the screen?
Ma'am, there's a message in the chat box which says that he's having trouble. And
Okay, all right. Then let me just tell you about it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the website is www.iitf.gov.in. And once you go there, you will find that there is a presentation about the course, and there is also a brochure. So I would suggest that you go through the presentation. You will come to know how to enroll yourself for the course. So let me tell you about it. This is an online course, and this is accessible from any device. And it goes into its own pace. It doesn't really have, the course doesn't really tell you that you will have to finish everything now. So it gives you a lot of space, and if you are busy now, you can take the assessments later. Like that it goes. And if you are a regular, you should be able to complete it after 6 months, within 6 months. And after 6 months, there will be an e-marketplace. E-marketplace is a website where all these facilitators' names will be there. Your name will be there. So when a person is coming to Hyderabad or Telangana, he will look up in the e-marketplace with whom he wants to go around, and your name comes up. He chooses you because your skill is there, experience is there, your talent is there. And moreover, what happens is that there will be a star rating system. So whoever is doing a very good tour, he will get more stars. And obviously people are inclined to choose you. So like that, we are trying to bring everybody under one roof. And if you speak more than one language, if you have a tourism background, then you are more than ready for it. Believe me, if you do the course, you are connected with Incredible India, you come to know whatever government policies are there and whatever is going on with Incredible India. Because see, this course has come up long before. This has come in January, I guess. But you don't know about it because you are not connected to Incredible India. So get connected, and let us do this. And let me come to the educational qualification. So it is very minimum. 10 plus 2 is the educational qualification. I guess most of you are very, very much overqualified for this. And above 40 years, it will be 10 plus certificates. And then after when you do the course, when you join for the course, they will ask for some course fees. So it has been kept very minimum. It is only 2,000 rupees per person. For a general candidate, it is 2,000 rupees. And if you are from SC and ST category, if you can produce the certificate of your caste, then it becomes free of cost. And one more interesting thing about the course is that if you are from Andhra Pradesh, then Vijayanagaram, Vishakhapatnam, YSR Kadapa. If you are a domicile of these three districts, then the course becomes free for you because Niti Aayog has identified these three districts as aspirational district. And in Telangana, if you are a resident of Asifabad, Bhopapalli, and Bhadradri Kothagudem, then also the course becomes free of cost for you. So all the residents, if you can produce a domicile of these districts, you can do the course free of cost. And other people, you can log in and you can register yourself for 2,000 rupees only, which is very, very minimum. And after that, there is no other expenditure except exam fees. Exam fees will be 500 rupees, something like that. And when you complete the course, your name comes in the Incredible India website, and you can take around the tourist. It works both ways. The tourist can directly choose your services, or the local hotels or the local travel agent tour operators can pick you up because they have heard about you, good things about you, and you know each other, and also you are in the website. And moreover, we will choose an Incredible India tourist facilitator over just anybody because any day they have got a police background check. everybody has to go through a police background check. So all the time we will know where our tourist is, and he is with a capable person, and he is safe. So we are practicing responsible tourism as well. So it is very important for us to know that my tourist is safe. So that is where also this course comes in, because everybody wants to know where is their tourist and with whom they are going. Because right now we are really suffering. The tourism industry is really suffering from dearth of these kind of people who are educated, who are presentable, and who are cultured, who actually know the history of the place. So I hope more and more Telangana and Andhra Pradesh people, Hyderabad, they will come up, they will do the course and present their country, present their city more and more. So once you go to the website, you read the brochure. If you have any questions, you get back to India Tourism Hyderabad. We have a Facebook page, India Tourism HYD. We also have a Twitter handle @India Tourism H. So whenever you feel like, you give us a question, and once you go to the website iitf.gov.in, you will find a helpline is there, and that helpline is very, very effective. If you have any problem at any point, you just contact us. So thank you very much, Gopal Krishna, for this opportunity to speak to your viewers. And what a fantastic experience this is. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very, very gracious of you to accept our invitation and come and share this platform
My
with all of us.
pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now invite our next speaker for the evening. I would invite Shahnawaz, ma'am. I can see a lot of comments from students of CSIIT who've been saying, yeah. Hello.
Right now, I need to unmute.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I can start.
Yes,
Okay. Hello, good evening, everybody. Gopal, first and foremost, thank you for this opportunity you have given to talk about this topic, which was long buried. In fact, not necessarily Hyderabad, but my role in terms of my connection with this kind of topic. I think the main reason I'm here on this particular show is to share my experience of hosting or being part of an institute which was hosting 200 years of Secunderabad. And this happened way back in 2006. However, June 3rd was the date, and I think definitely I cannot take the credit of starting it. I think Vasanta Shobha was also here in the panel. She was the one who actually initiated this entire program, where she said that our institute, being a architectural institute, CSIT School of Architecture and Planning, placed right in the Wesley College campus in Secunderabad, is an apt institution to take up this, being based in Secunderabad, and being in the center kind of in Secunderabad, and also because we have so many students who could help in facilitating the entire program. It was an idea which caught up. Our director at that time, Dr. PJ Dharmaraj, also was very encouraged. He was very encouraging, and he supported this whole program. That's how it went off. So we had actually planned it much before, right from 2005, I think, is when Vasanta mooted the idea, and we were enthusiastic enough to take up this entire program. Right from November 2005, I think we started it, and it culminated approximately around June 11th, which took quite some time, because a lot of work had to be done. Right now, I can only talk about in terms of what were the events which went on, because when we went in, we had a lot more grandiose ideas at that time. We were not able to accomplish quite a few because of time factor, and because we are in academics primarily, I think, and we were doing it almost on a sole platform. We were doing it without any partners, so to speak. So fundraising was a major issue, and also that we had to have, obviously in academics, we need our students to be also absorbed in academics. So it was difficult to sustain it over a longer period. But otherwise, we did have a good time. I think it was also, it brought awareness to the students and also to the populace. I think people in general were quite receptive to the idea of celebrating. It was a big milestone. 200 years of Secunderabad was a big milestone. After we caught up, I think, in publicizing it in a bit, at that time, the government then took it up. Once they realized that, it is there, it's a big milestone, Secunderabad reaching its 200th year. Then they took it up, and once they took it up, it went onto their platform, and then we kind of backed out after that. But the kind of programs which we had on were more academic oriented, where we thought of, we had seminars and we had painting competitions. We had actually planned out much more in terms of an architectural documentation competition, which didn't work out too well because of the response, I think, and also, we were not able to get too many responses at that time. We had a seminar which was basically gathering a lot of speakers who were associated with Secunderabad and its development to talk about it. So we did have some crowd there. And we, of course, had the last one, which was supposed to be the Secunderabad Run, where we were responsible for registering about 10,000 entries. And then we, along with the government, by that time, the government had pitched in, and they had funded the Secunderabad Run. But of course, once the government took it up, it was on a much bigger platform, much more publicized, more celebrity, level, which was there. So then the academic part of it and our contribution was, minimized to that extent. But I think thanks Vasanta for having given us that experience. Definitely, it was something which was useful. I think Ms. Kedar Ishwari is also part of this program, also was an integral part in the initial levels. And I don't think, Gopal, are we able to share? I have sent you some PPT. Are you able to share it? I don't think so, right?
Yes, ma'am. There's some issue with sharing. When I tried to share it earlier, I was going off the screen.
Okay, fine.
So unfortunately, we'd not be able to share it today. Sorry
Okay.
about it. We can go
No,
without the
no
sharing.
problem. Yes, I think initially when we started off, I think what I should also I think thank Ms. Anuradha Reddy at that time. She was also along with Sajjad Shahid also ji. She was also associated with Intac, and she also had, I think, one of the few meetings we had to orient the students towards documentation and towards helping in this program was because of her, her enthusiastic as usual. Anuradha Reddy ma'am is absolutely gung ho and full of energy, and she was able to bring a lot of energy into this entire, working program. And she, and along with Muhammad Safiullah, who also had a good collection of old photographs of Secunderabad. We actually spearheaded our entire program with that photo exhibition of theirs together. And that was very educative, because we had actually planned it for 2 days, but then we had to extend it because some people were not able to make it. So then we extended it beyond that time to be able to make it possible for other people also to see that photo exhibition. Very interesting photographs were there. And I think afterwards I've seen those photographs floating around a lot on the net. But that was, again, so our whole idea was that we start off with first an introduction to Secunderabad, and then we involve, people into the theme of Secunderabad, so they become more aware of it, and then culminating with the seminar and the competitions which were supposed to be part of that. The seminars were supposed to be this intellectual, dialogue, not even intellectual, intellectual and even memory. I think people went down the memory lane a lot. To be able to, to recollect what Secunderabad was. And I think what was really good about this was that there were a lot of people who wanted to share a lot of their, childhood memories and what Secunderabad was. But it became that, I think at the end, of course, when we are looking at people coming in and being a part of this, a lot of it was a lot of memories being, told over and over again, and it was interesting. But academic level, it was not at that level of academics at that time. And the Secunderabad Dhan was supposed to be the cultural thing. But as I told you at that time, I think the state government got in Chiranjeevi and Ravi Teja as the celebrities to start off the run, and that's the time, like, it became a big chaos at that time. There was so much of crowd, and there was a lot of confusion at that end, but it went off. I mean, like, everybody did enjoy it at that last moment. But I think it was a very good academic exercise for all of us, also because we did start off the documentation. We were not we start off, it's still in the process. In fact, we've not yet been able to even complete it. It's been so many years. I had to get off this thing because I was off CSIT for some time. Then I came back again. We need to revive it. But I think when you really look at what even Sajjadji has said about, about having this, and is there an attraction for the Aam Janta to be able to come and be a part of these kind of celebrations? I think milestones, yes, and on annual level, highly difficult, because what we had faced at the time when we did this program was that we were running short of funds, as we said, because we were only a sole organization who was running it. We need to have many more partners who are involved, who can be a part of this so that it's sustainable. Also, that I think, yeah, once we have more participants, then obviously it's more easier to manage, whether it is in terms of any works which are related to that, or any kind of follow-up work. There's a lot of work which was involved at that time. So for an institute to do it solely was difficult, because it requires much more than just 2 or 3 days. It involved us, for over 6 months. And after that, it had to have actually another 6 month drag on, which was difficult for us to sustain. So definitely, if you have more partners on, I think it would be sustainable. But as I told you, milestones, significant milestones in terms of, rather than having it every year, it's going to be difficult. Thank you, Gopal. I think that's, I wish we had that PPT to share. At least we could have a few, because I think a lot of students came up with a lot of ideas, and I think it was a good experience for students to come
Sure.
outside the category.
I will still try and showcase the presentation. It's just that technically there's an issue. So if the students especially stick around and stay until the end of the session, I cannot. I'll try my best to set the presentation up. In case that doesn't happen, they can always go check out the on the Facebook page of Hyderabad Trails, the link of which has been given. And once again, apologies for the technical issues. I would now invite Kedareshwari ji, who was also actively involved with Hyderabad 200 and also Hyderabad Calcutta 300, to share a few thoughts about the topic of the day. I'll invite her. 1 second. Oops. Just give me a second. Just trying to make solo. Yeah. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, viewers and my panelists. Gopal, thank you so much for having me here. Basically, celebrating the birth of a city is a very welcome move. But to celebrate any occasion, we need to really plan much ahead of the time. We need to have a lot of partners to support. And my experience when I was with Victoria Memorial, Kolkata, I was a research associate for the Calcutta Gallery, which was the first city gallery of India. And when Calcutta, which is a much younger city than Delhi, Kanchipuram, Kashi, and even Hyderabad, for example, it was the first capital of the last empire. And being the first capital of the last empire, it got a lot of mileage and support. Now, way back, why was Victoria Memorial heading this celebration? To celebrate the tercentenary of Kolkata. On 24th August 1690, a foot soldier or a trader called Job Charnock arrived at a place called Shutanuti. And that is taken to be the foundation day for the city of Kolkata. Kolkata actually was born out of 3 villages: Sutanuti, a cotton mart; Govindapur, where the Boshaks and the Seths, very prominent, prosperous families lived; and Kolikata. Kolikata was the abode of the goddess Kali, and there were a lot of pilgrims visiting this. These 3 villages together became Kolkata. After Job Charnock lands there, I'm sure he didn't know that he's going to become known as a founder of the city, because he died within 30 months. But what exactly did he do? As a trader, he tried to get his feet. Then he helped the East India Company to get the Farman. He rented the 3 villages, got the Farman in 1770 to trade, but he had to face opposition from the Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaula. This was later on followed by the Battle of Plassey, and in a bid for trade and a bid for mastery over the region, they defeated the Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaula. They took charge, the Zamindari, the treasury, and the rest is history. What did Victoria Memorial? Why did Victoria Memorial celebrate the tercentenary? Victoria Memorial is the largest primary source and center for artifacts on Kolkata. We have prints, we have paintings, we have literature, we have so much in Victoria Memorial, which tells you the history of Calcutta. And Curzon had this great desire to have a Calcutta gallery in Victoria Memorial. He was the one who opened this Victoria Memorial in 1921. He started this idea after the Queen Victoria passed away as a national, it's a Wallala of the British Raj, Victoria Memorial. Later on, the collection was so rich, it's so rich that you can, I mean, it beats the Tate Gallery of London or the Mellon Collection, Yale, US. When the celebration came up in that 300, we have completed 300 years, 1990, as a resource center for Calcutta, we had the chairman of our board of Victoria Memorial Board of Trustees, Professor Nurul Hassan, who himself was the Education Minister of India at one time, a great scholar. He said that we should have an international seminar talking about discussing the urban historical perspectives of the city, though it was only 300 years old. This was in 1990s. This seminar became a footstone for the Calcutta Gallery, because the concept of Calcutta Gallery was conceived during this 3-day seminar, international seminar that we had. After that, objects were curated from the collection itself, and slowly we started developing the Calcutta Gallery. Now, did we stop there? No. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, a charity came up called the Calcutta Tercentenary Trust. The British are very proud of Victoria Memorial and its content, mainly because it was built as a memorial for Queen Victoria, and it has got an excellent collection, as I said, both oils and paperwork. So they formed a trust, and for the first time in the international world, the Indian-British conservation project was conceived. And this project thought that the best way to give credit to celebrate the city was to look into the conservation and restoration of the artifacts which celebrate the history of the city. There is a collection of 82 oil paintings in Victoria Memorial. So concerns were there regarding the system of preservation, and this was taken up by the Calcutta Tercentenary Trust. So a lot of international restorers, conservators from different British Museum, Victoria Albert Museum, from Her Majesty, the Queen's Museum collection also came to Kolkata. They worked in the Victoria Memorial to restore these oil paintings. Later, the focus also shifted to the paperworks. These were also conserved, and they went a step further. They went a step further and they started the training project, training the restorers and conservators who were working within Victoria Memorial, so that the maintenance of the collection could be ensured in future. I must say that I had the privilege to be associated, to see this going on in front of my eyes, to see the Calcutta Gallery, the first city gallery of Victoria Memorial come up. The Government of India, under which Victoria Memorial is, it's under the aegis of the Government of India. It really took interest and all these projects came through. Now, did it stop here? No. After this, they thought the displayed artifacts should be displayed sorry, the conserved artifacts should be displayed for the public. And the public should appreciate what kind of history they have, what kind of paintings, paperworks they have. And this could also increase the footfalls for the museum. This was followed by putting up the entire collection, which is restored, conserved, and redoing the galleries of the Victoria Memorial Hall. I request all of you to make a visit to Kolkata, go to Victoria Memorial, see the galleries, the restored ones, and the Calcutta Gallery, the first city gallery of India. Very few people talk about this, and you must go there and see for yourselves how the artifacts, how they have been curated, how they have been displayed, and how it's being maintained. It's all kudos to Government of India and their policies. Finally, what this joint conservation training program which they had with the CTT, the Calcutta Tertiary Trust, resulted in enhancing the experience, work experience of the conservators and oil restorers of Victoria Memorial. Though some of them have retired today, I must say with great pride that they are still working privately with some of the heritage clubs who have oil paintings, who have paperworks, and they're doing an excellent job. I also would like to use this platform to request the governments of the state and the Government of India to use the services of these restorers and conservators to restore and conserve the rest of the collection all over India, because it is very few experienced hands we have in the country, and we should not lose out on their experience. Instead of working privately, they could work for the government and they could do a freelance work. They are doing that already. And I would specially like to name two people. It's Sujit Rai and Shanti Maji. Shanti Maji is an oil restorer, and Sujit Rai is both an oil restorer, one of the best retouching artists, whom the British said that he's better than some of the greatest restorers. Now, apart from this, all the work was brought out in the form of a publication by Marg. I would like to show you the publication also. A beautiful publication from Marg, and this is what it crystallized into. The celebration of 300 years crystallized into. Any celebration which is just a presentation of papers and talking about some slides and talking about some pictures doesn't augur well for the history of the city. I think it has to, apart from creating an heritage awareness, I must really say that it should go about crystallizing into some sort of a focus for the development of the city. Regarding the Hyderabad city, I have my own reservations whether we could, celebrate October 7th or any other day, the birthday of Quli Qutub Shah, or, the birthday of Quli Qutub Shah is celebrated in the Qutub Shahi Tombs, the grandest Acropolis of the world, one of the grandest. The Iranian heritage experts have said they have never seen such heritage. When I was the director of archaeology and museums, they visited the country, they visited Hyderabad, and we were to do a joint project on conservation and restoration of these tombs. And you won't believe it, over a spread of 100 acres of land, there are almost 99 monuments. This is the Acropolis associated with the Golkunda fort, where all the Qutub Shahi rulers planned their tombs during their lifetime. It has got the greatest aqueduct connecting the Durgam Cheruvu, which was recently inaugurated, the pathway and the ropeway on the bridge on it. This Durgam Cheruvu was nothing but the lake which supplied water to the Golkunda fort. The aqueduct runs through the Qutub Shahi tombs, and this should be popularized. Any celebration, I think we should have it in the monuments. If this celebration, celebrating Quli Qutub Shah, the founder of the city, is not new. It's very old. You have the accounts in travel writings. Tavernier describes how, on every festival day, the carpets were laid out in Qutub Shahi tombs, and how pulao was distributed to the people. There was a food festival also. So I think along these lines, if we take advantage of these heritage areas, popularize them by having the Qawwali nights. I did that during my tenure as a director of archaeology and museums from 2003 to 2008. I did work there, trying to make them people friendly, opening up the monuments, developing a sense of communal harmony, national integration, and then showing them, the each carving in the monuments, how they reflect the philosophy of the rulers of those days. Now, coming to Charminar, we always take Charminar to be the beginning of the Hyderabad city. How did it happen? That is because the whole Charminar was planned on a grid pattern. And Quli Qutub Shah, when he founded the city, he prays to the god that make me a contented person. And after that, some verses follow. And then the last para is so beautiful. He says that fill this city of mine with fish as you have filled this city of mine with people as you have filled the city, fill the oceans with fish, the variety of fish. So look at his cosmopolitan attitude, outlook, and mindset. He was the one who built the Charminar grid pattern, invited people from all over the world to come and settle here. He was the one who built a mosque for them to pray. He was the one who built the royal mourning house. And when he lied buried in Qutub Shahi Tombs, he planned his head to rest in a way that he could see Charminar even from there. Of course, there are many romantic legends associated. So these legends have to be popularized. Any celebrations, because Charminar is very crowded, has to be in the tombs. It's a beautiful landscape gardens, beautiful, and it's a charbagh planned paradise. Along Iranian lines, they have planned these gardens. So you must plan it there. There's more space. You could get into a collaboration with tourism, with the Department of Heritage, talk to them before, have Qawwalis, and showcase the culture, the Ganga Jamuni culture of Hyderabad. So this is all I have to say on this occasion. And I do hope, Gopal Krishna, that you put this forward and connect to Facebook so that ideas float across. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very enlightening talk about the Victoria Memorial and the Calcutta 300. Also got to know a lot more things about Hyderabad and Qutub Shahi Tombs from your presentation. I apologize for the little confusion in putting people in those little boxes. Sometimes, there's confusion and stuff. So I'm also figuring out how to do this. I'm doing this for the first time. I would now like to invite Vasanta Sobaji, who was instrumental in getting Secunderabad 200 celebrated. So over to Vasanta ji while I the complete screen.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Gopal Krishna, for calling me in to this. Actually, to be honest and frank, I was not aware of this date, and I'm happy to share my experiences, or more so, actually, to put in a perspective whether or not we should take up, and also how we go about doing this 430th year of Hyderabad. So there is no dispute here whether or not it has to be celebrated. It has to, every generation comes, we have to talk about the city, the history, the memories, and the life has to go on, and we have to take up in whatever scale. I am very glad to be on this platform with the other panelists, Dr. Kedareshwari, whom I work with. She had given me opportunity in the beginning of my career, and it was wonderful working with her in Salajang Museum and later on in archaeology and museums. And I'm always overwhelmed, impressed by her range and scope. I don't find, not many people come any close to her capacity, passion, and the drive she has. And we are very lucky to have her. And Sajjad, definitely we worked together on Golkunda project and later on in the residency project. And so Naima, I know, so this is all about CSIT and Naima. So there are many fans of Naima here, and I'm one of them, though I don't belong to CSIT. And I want to share my journey as how I went about doing this Secunderabad festival, and what are the possibilities, for any individual who can do in India. It is much easier now because we have social media now, which we did not have at that time. Please forgive me if I make it a little too personal. So I am a conservation architect. I was working on the British residency project for the World Monuments and Usman University from 2001 and 2005. During this time, we were doing a lot of archival collection, and one of the books that we photocopied was on Secunderabad. 2005 June, I came out of the project, British residency project. Sajjad was also part of the committee members. And at that time, I had lots of time. I was taking some break, and I looked at this Secunderabad book from archives, AP archives, which published a farman. I don't know whether to call it a farman. It says a farman, but it's a letter from the sixth Nizam, fifth Nizam. Sorry. So, Sikandar Jah Bahadur to Captain Sydenham. So it was a reply, I suppose, to the 8th British resident who proposed that, Secunderabad, sorry, we don't have slides to share here, Secunderabad, which was a settlement, a cantonment where the British troops were stationed on the north of Hussain Sagar after 1798 subsidiary alliance. So Captain Sydenham proposed to the fifth Nizam, sixth Nizam. Sorry, I'm really sorry about this. So there should be a name for this settlement because it has grown quite big. And then this was a particular date, 25th Rabiul Awwal in 1806, that the Nizam wrote this reply and said that now that we are happy that it is all populated and we are all together, all nationals and all, let this be called Secunderabad on his name. So that is the date, 25th Rabiul Awwal of 1806. So I realized that it is 2006, it will be bicentenary. And I met scholar Dr. M.A. Naim. I went to his residence and I asked him when this Rabiul Awwal 25th day falls in 2006. And then he gave us a date. I think it was June 3rd. Naima was saying June 11th. But anyway, around that time, he proposed a particular date. So then I wrote a letter to Director Culture and saying that it was only a plain letter where I proposed that. I remember from my college days, I was quite young at when Hyderabad the 2400 was celebrated, and I heard about Calcutta festival too. And I said I just wrote a letter talking about the history of the residency and the Secunderabad formation and the date. I said on the lines of 400 years of Hyderabad, we should do a festival called Secunderabad Festival. That was in June, July, sometime I wrote a letter. And then I used to go to these offices. I mean, from 3 to 5 offices are available to meet people. So one of those days, I think it was October or November, I went and then he misplaced the letter, first of all. And then he was quite impolite. I mean, he didn't ask me to sit. He was busy on his laptop. And then he said that, what are you proposing? What do you think what government is? It's a big thing you're asking. It's not so simple. You don't understand. Those kind of lines he said that I don't know what I'm asking for. Then I was quite offended. I was not asking for myself. I didn't ask for a project. I didn't ask him money. I didn't ask for a job. And then I just reminded the government that they should be doing this duty. But so he did that. I was quite offended, and I came back home. And there was this anger, or of whatever. I was hurt. Then I thought, okay, you are government, so I am citizen. I am nobody but a citizen of this country. I am a free bird. So then I wrote letters. I remember some 19 or 20 letters from PM to Culture Minister to central government, state government. Same letter, change the heading, change the ending, and then post it everywhere. And at that time, I went and met Dr. Dharmraj. Whatever is, again and again, I'm going to reiterate it. If we are talking about Secunderabad festival today, it is thanks to CSIT, thanks to Dr. Dharmraj, and it's all about Naima. So if we could do anything, it's because of her. So I went to Dr. Dharmraj, who happened to be, who was my teacher at JNTU. And I said, sir, you are the only college in Secunderabad, please take up. As Naima said, he's very encouraging and said, okay, he sanctioned a small budget for the college and then asked Naima to take up. So as she said, the date was falling in June 2006 and we started off in November sometime. So I would go every day to college and then had the best moments. Naima, lot of strain for Naima, but we enjoyed eating that, like what is that, chana and all every day. And then we
Chana, I remember.
every day from their canteen, some instant noodles and all. And we would sit and plan. And the students came, they designed everything. And first of all, we did some posters and all. We had this initial plans. And then, so there was one day, both of us went to give these posters to our press. We went in a car. So we drove around the city and to all these newspapers late in the night. I think we went out, drove till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and gave these posters to the press. Posters and a letter to publish it, that it is coming in. This was in November, December again. So that's when rightly the press reacted. Why are you doing it? You are a private institution. Why are you? The government should be doing it. So from there on, actually, so CSIT started off with these events. And then we were doing it, all academic exercises involving, like we do for that NASA of our architectural colleges. We planned those kind of exhibitions and all. As Naima has said, there are a lot of other scholars who had come, Radha Reddy Garu, and then Safiullah Sajjad was there, and Dr. Kedareshwar was there, Professor Ratna Naidu, Aloka Parashar Sen, all of them were involved, and we were doing it ourselves. And then one more thing I did was approach the Times of India. Times of India carried a series of articles sometime before that on Charminar. And so I requested Mr. Sushil Rao of Times of India, why don't you do this for Secunderabad also? One thing that I want to add here was, this was the time when government was planning to do the GHMC, merging MCH and Municipal Corporation of Hyderabad with other municipalities. So till that time, Secunderabad once upon a time was a city, definitely. But it was also a circle or a division of the Municipal Corporation of Hyderabad. It had a different identity. That is one thing. And the merger happened in 2007. I think this generation of people might not know Secunderabad was a city, because now it's part of the bigger Hyderabad city. That was one of the things we were, fearing, and that the Secunderabad should be remembered. Second thing was, we were discussing this with our students in CSIT and also SVCA. And, I belong to Hyderabad, not in the old city of Hyderabad, but, the areas of Barkatpura, Chikatpalli, and then now Banjara Hills. I've never lived in Secunderabad. So for people of Hyderabad, always Secunderabad is an area. Whereas, we tell, or even Charminar is an area. But we know that Golkunda, Charminar, and Secunderabad were cities, and there are areas within that. The same thing you ask anybody who is born and brought up in Secunderabad areas, they would react to it in a very different manner. They would say, we are going to General Bazaar, or we are going to Karkhana, or whatever. They have this specific. As we say that I'm going to Hyderabad or I'm going to Begumpet. But we don't differentiate Secunderabad and Charminar area that way. We don't see the inner divisions of areas, which is quite sad. So this is the second thing, that there are two things that prompted that there should be a discussion on Secunderabad and what it means to its people. So Times of India agreed, and then they opened up this column. And even in CSIT, we were focusing on the academics, on the faculty, and then the students, how to involve them. While Times of India had given a chance for Secunderabadis to voice their own memories. So there it became a people's journey also. Those two things were happening. That's when the press took up, and because of the good work that is being done by CSIT, they started criticizing the government that the time is coming. They have not even planned. They're neglecting. So these are the series of articles which were criticizing the government for not doing anything. Finally, the government had to yield. But they were quite, I should say, cunning in not taking up this task by themselves. But again, not giving enough funds to CSIT, they made CSIT responsible. So, in all of this, it was this, as Naima said, the scale has gone up. We started off as a small thing. It was not strategically planned, but there was an anger, there was a passion, and there was something that it was moving us, and slowly it became big due to press and the government. So finally, so in June, there was all these things that Naima has mentioned. We had talks, we had exhibitions, we had people to share, we had seminars, everything was there. And I also had the opportunity to write one or two editorial in the Times of India on the main D-Day. So all that, it was good. So, the whole thing, I mean, the success of the Secunderabad festival was that people remember it, and people remember it fondly of the time the festival happened, and the way they shared their memories under different in the newspaper and all. So that was definitely a success from that point of view. But what went, I mean, what Dr. Kedareshwari was discussing about what was done in Calcutta. So this was a government initiative. So there's a lot of potential and scope that we can do. There's something that permanent can be done. Restoration, as she said, museums there's city museums we have established. There are restoration. You make such changes for the preservation and betterment of the city. That is all possible if the government decides to do. I think the 400 years of Hyderabad, I don't know, I was not part of it, had adopted this Calcutta model, and I don't know what they have done. But as a college student, I remember seeing boards everywhere, 400 years of Hyderabad and those kind of thing, and it stayed with me. Even though I was not professionally involved in it, the memory of Hyderabad 400 stayed with us, and the memory of Secunderabad 200 also stayed with us. So, is it possible? Is the new generation interested? Whether it's, whether the new generation is interested or not, whether the government is interested or not, we have to take up. I appreciate and I congratulate Gopal Krishna for bringing this up. And, if there is a disagreement on the dates when it has to be celebrated, let the disagreement be. But we are glad that with some kind of a confusion, the first thing has started. We are here discussing. There are more people who are coming, joining, sharing their ideas. I think so we should go ahead. Maybe we can finalize the dates. As I remember from Calcutta, and, we had this discussion during Secunderabad festival, is also that there is 3 years, any anniversary is celebrated, that is the 400th year. I mean, when you finish the 399th year and get into the 400th year, when you complete 400th year, and then when you complete the 401 year. So these 3 years are 3 years of celebration. I think that's what Calcutta did, and I don't know whether Hyderabad did or not. But Secunderabad, we could never do it beyond that, because, as Naima said, it was done only by a single institution. No support, only that government exploited what CSIT was doing. So whether we have to do it. So it was successful. You know, like any other project, even Dr. Kedareshwari will agree. You know, like she has taken up Nizam's jewels and a lot of big things, you know, major mega events that were organized. Any event will have lots of sacrifice by a small core group. You know, lot of sacrifice, time. You are giving up your family time, you're putting your energy and also money. There's no money. I mean, nobody, you're not getting any returns of it. We have to say that we have, Naima will agree. You know, Naima has become so much skeptical about when I propose something, that she knows, like she was pushed into the water and she swam. And, you know, like I always told her, you know, you're a star. You're a star, that, you know, the way you have managed the whole thing, I mean, without knowing it. And also to organize a celebrity run, that was, you know, like the top of it, you know, it's seminars, publications, this is one. But organize a run with Chiranjeevi and then Ravi Teja and all this public run, that was done by Naima. So, you know, like I think Gopal Krishna, you should. I'm very glad. I told Gopal Krishna, I don't know whether Naima will come and talk, because she has all these painful experiences with Secunderabad. So now that you could pull her in, so pull her in for the next 3 years of celebrations.
Lord.
See, unmatching, she has unmatching ability. She has the experience. She's the most qualified one here, and she's very popular with the young generation. You can see in this one. So, you know, you can expect a lot of volunteers coming and joining. So this is what I think. I want to say, one, congratulations for starting this. Two, there is no two things about whether we should have it or not. We should have it. Three is that if people are not interested, we have to make them interested. We have to. I mean, this is the responsibility of each and every generation, that whether we like it or not, we have to put in that effort. We have to go through this pain strain. It will be very, very, I mean, we need to get funds. I don't know. I mean, that is something that we have to look into. We have to make government work. You know, there's a lot of things a citizen can do in a democracy. You know, nobody can stop us. We have to do that. And press is always with us. And now it is much, much easier than what we did before, because we have the social media now, which we did not have. And you could get the right kind of people here, Gopal Krishna. So with Dr. Kedareshwari, Mr. Sajjad and Naima and others, and also India Tourism supporting the cause so much. I think please go ahead, green signal, we are all with you, and we'll fight it out. Okay. So let's all start the 3 years of Hyderabad, the 430th, that will start 2020, 2021 and 2022. Let's hope more permanent changes also we do, as Dr. Kedareshwari has done, not make it so superficial and just memories. Okay. Thank you so much for calling me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a trip down the memory lane for you. We also got to appreciate everything that went behind Secunderabad 200. Of course, I saw the book that was published by I think Jayesh Ranjan, but I had no clue that so much went behind the scenes in order to make that happen.
So one thing I want to add, sorry to interrupt you. Actually, that was not at all strategically. When I look back, this is the journey and things have fallen into place. But the only thing that I can say is that there was some sort of an anger and a passion where I took each of these steps. I mean, so it was, and it all worked. And, you know, like again, Naima won't appreciate my saying it. You know, once you decide and you have that right thing to zeal to do, the universe will start helping you. And then you have people like Naima. So she becomes the chosen one to do what is supposed to be done. So you get the right people to do this task. So, you know, like we have to do it. I mean, so also it is, I can only end with this. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, thank you so much, ma'am. That was very enlightening. Very enlightening. So just to give you an update, Andrew will be coming. He'll be here in less than 5 minutes. He's been updating me about his status every 5 minutes. He was on a bus 20 minutes ago and he just reached home. He was in some other engagement in the UK, and he's very excited to come and join us all. So in the next 5-10 minutes, he'll be joining us, and it will be over. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Gopal, yeah, you are. Am I audible? I just want to add a point here. In 2003, I joined the Department of Archaeology, and there is this grand building, old treasury of Golkunda Fort, which we have, Khazana building. So I wanted to convert that into a city museum, and under the 12th Finance Commission, I want the government to hear this also, 12th Finance Commission funds, Dr. Rangarajan was the chairman of the 12th Finance Commission. I gave a proposal to have the first city museum, because 2002 we had completed the year, 1592 to 2002. In 2003 I joined. 2004 I sent the proposal. It was approved, the first city museum, and then I emptied the Khazana building museum, all the Jain sculptures. I shifted to the Public Gardens Jain gallery. I request all of you to go and see that also. And the Jain community for the first time came forward and totally funded the Jain gallery, the Jain Garden Sculptural Gallery, and the auditorium, including air conditioning it. So what I mean to say is the communities are interested. If you are sincere, and your hands are clean, sorry to say, they come forward very willingly to help us. And I emptied that museum, but that didn't see the light of the day. I think we should take advantage and ask the state government to now step in again to convert that to a city museum, because after visiting Golkunda, it's on the way. People can go to that. It's a very well sprawled. It can be conserved, and then for both conservation and the museum, I had got the money from the 12th Finance Commission. Almost up to 1.5 crore I had got in those days. Sanctioned by the central government.
So Khazana building, I've been inside once or twice. Most of the time it's always closed. The iron
exactly. That is why I wanted to restore it.
So it's back to the same old
the same old thing. It's back to the same old status, and very sadly it's neglected also.
Yes, sir. Sajjad,
May I
please.
come in for a moment?
Please, sir.
Yeah. Well, there's this interpretation center under construction as part of the Qutub Shahi Tombs project, and I'm sure there'll be some information available there till this city museum comes. And of course, we do have a small city museum in the Nizam's Museum.
In the Nizam's Museum, yes.
Yeah. That
pertains to the Nizam history of the Nizam collection.
Not necessarily.
We call it city museum, but it doesn't really reflect the city right from the beginning.
No, it does. There's a section there which does that. It's a separate section called this. It shows the history of the city, but of course, it doesn't have the collection to support that.
To support the story.
Yeah. So
no, the collection need not be there to support the story. If you have seen the museum that they did in Dubai, the City Museum of Dubai, if you have and seen that and experienced it, I wanted to do that in Khazana building. Even for Hyderabad, we don't have a collection, original collection to support the history, but we do. We can use 3D and with this artificial intelligence which has come in now.
That was tried there at the Nizam's Museum. We do have a section where they do an audiovisual. It shows you.
An artificial intelligence. I'm talking of AI.
AI. That should be updated to that now. Yeah, I agree. But then that's a private effort, so.
No, but that's a very good effort also in the Nizam's Museum.
Yeah.
That has been a very good effort by the curator, and I really, congratulate her. But we do need a full-fledged city museum.
We do. That is there. Because I think.
Yes, after coming out from Golkunda, if people can go to, the Khazana building, which is very close and in a dilapidated state, and there's a Shamsher Kota there nearby, where hundreds and thousands of arrows and bows are stored. Even that could become an annexure to this. It could become a research center. And, we could develop that along those lines. So this idea can be carried forward. I was, in fact, thinking of writing to the government now that I'm a little more free, that what has happened to that money, the finances which have come in for the City Museum, with the write-up, with the concept, I had submitted it. I'm trying to hunt it in my collection if I have a copy of that. I had traced the history and made the text also ready. So yeah, that's what we did for in 2004. So even that could be, excavated out, and we could work on that also as a part of this project. That would bring to fruition some kind of a solid museum for the visitor who comes from outside to come and see how the city grew. Or in fact, Hyderabad itself is a museum. If you can take a visitor from Golkunda to Charminar, and around the Purana pool, which was at one time, tourism celebrated it as a Pyarana pool, because Mohammed Quli Qutub Shah crossed the river Musi on the horseback to meet his beloved Bhagmati on the other south side of the river. And as a result, yeah, that's a legend. It's a very romantic legend. Which
अरे
people
भाई,
remember.
इश्क ने तोड़ी सर पे क़यामत, ज़ोरे क़यामत क्या कहिए, वो घोड़ा नदी में कुदा दिया, ये सब. These are beautiful stories which should always be encouraged, cherished, and promoted.
लेकिन सजाद भाई,
Your academic discussions अलग बात है. I've seen people frothing at the mouth at the mere mention of that.
I've been a victim of that. I've
But
been
you have all sorts, in a city. You have to. But the point is, coming back to what I was trying to tell you, the 400 years celebration was mentioned. My recollections are that it was not an occasion on which the citizens wholeheartedly participated. Of course, Falaknuma was opened up, Chaumalla was opened up, people were going and seeing that. But the enthusiasm that is required was absent. Now that has a long history of, because people of Hyderabad have been separated from their history, from culture, from anything, Well, that is why I was again referring to Zor Saab's effort. Zor Saab didn't pick that date out of random, I didn't finish that. 11th January, incidentally, is the date of
death of Qutub Shah.
Now, what was he trying to do? He was not trying to experiment. He was looking at Qutub Shah history. If you look at Qutub Shah history, you will find accounts of the death of, ये जरा अजीब दिखता अंग्रेज लोगों को या फॉरेनर्स को कि हिंदुस्तान में जो है ऐसे भी लोग बसते हैं जो डेथ को सेलिब्रेट करते हैं, because that was the Sufi impact on Indian society and of course on Hyderabadi society. मौत हमारे यहाँ जो है, it is ultimate union with the beloved. तो हमेशा मौत को सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है सूफी सिस्टम में, और that was the system that was followed by the Qutub Shahi. तो हैदराबाद में कुतुब शाही जमाने में भी उर्स मनाया जाता था. बड़े क्या करेंगे, द फाउंडर ऑफ द डायनास्टी सुल्तान कुली, बड़े मलिक का. और ये दिस इज फाउंड, दे आर यूरोपियन स्कॉलर्स, विजिटर्स, ट्रैवलर्स हु मेंशन्ड कि अजीब लोग हैं, दे सेलिब्रेट द डेथ ऑफ देयर फर्स्ट किंग. तो उनको समझ में नहीं है ये बात, बट दैट इज इंटीग्रल टू आवर कल्चर. So that was the day he chose. But as I told you, 7 years later, every year the Islamic calendar loses, the 10 days when you compare it to the Gregorian calendar. तो रजब की पहली तारीख को शुरू हुआ था, जब पहली बार उन्होंने वो किया था. वो 6 साल बाद वो रजब जाके जो है वो शाबान भी चला गया, रमजान आ गया. तो नेचुरली मंथ ऑफ फास्टिंग यू कुडंट डू इट. तो वो कंडीशन कंटिन्यू होते रहा. ऑन द डे people used to go there, representative of the idara and a few select people, वहाँ चादर चढ़ाया करते थे. वहाँ खुद मोहम्मद कुली की लिखे मरसियों को पढ़ा जाता था, मगर जो है वो सेलिब्रेशन को जो है 1 महीना आगे कर दिया था. तो दैट फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी हैज टू बी देयर. जैसे मैंने आपसे कहा कि आज का दिन अगर if you follow this date, this will come with all dates. कभी ना कभी ये क्लैश आने वाला है. तो वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी रहना था. मगर ये है कि मैं ये चाहता हूँ, मेरी ख्वाहिश है दिली, अब आप लोग क्या है नहीं कहेंगे इस बारे में नहीं मालूम. बहादुर शाह जफर की जो गजल है उसका एक शेर, उसका बल्कि एक मिसरा मैं आपको सुना दूं कि पढ़े फातिहा कोई आए क्यों, कोई 4 फूल चढ़ाए क्यों, कोई आके शम्मा जलाए, क्यों तो ये हाल हो गया है कि कोई ना शम्मा जलाता है मोहम्मद कुली के मज़ार पे, ना कोई फूल चढ़ाता है, ना कोई फातिहा पढ़ता है। और ये जो क्रिएशन था, ये जो खूबसूरत चारबाग गार्डन्स आप बात कर रहे हैं, ये सब बनाने का मकसद क्या था? हर जगह जो ये मकबरे बनाए गए हैं ग्रैंड, और उसमें गार्डन्स बनाए गए हैं, ये जो है लोगों को अट्रैक्ट करना है कि कोई तो हमारे बाद हमको पूछे। सूफी दरगाहों पे तो फकीर के दरगाह रहती है, वो तो आज भी जो है बगैर पूछे हजारों लोग जाते हैं। अगर ये खूबसूरती नहीं होती तो इन बादशाहों के पास कौन जाता था, सिवाय इसके कि एक दो बादशाह जो सूफी भी थे। That's a different story. Who would come and visit the graves of old kings? So they had to make it beautiful. So अब जाने के चक्कर में तो ये है कि आपके founder of your city, if you go once a year at least on the date of his death and place a few flowers there. हालांकि इसकी जिम्मेदारी थी कस्टोडियंस की, बट वो कस्टडी का भी प्रॉब्लम हो गया ना, अब आर्कियोलॉजी में चले गया है. Actually the custodian continues to be the Nizam's awqaf.
The Nizams have handed over it to archaeology, yes.
They have handed over the monument, but not the responsibility of offering a chadar every year. That is duty as per the Waqf clause. That is their duty. वहाँ ऊद जलाएं, वहाँ चराग जलाएं, वहाँ चादर बिछाएं, तो अब वो लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो जैसा शोभा ने कहा, we have to do it.
Every year urs chal raha hai. People, permission is given for urs. And very nice thing which they say is the fruit trees which have been planted there to allow birds to come and nest and rest there, so that the chirping birds could be heard by those who have also reached Allah. That's another very nice thing that they say. And there are a lot of fruit trees in Qutub Shahi Tombs. There are peacocks also.
There will be all those
flora and the fauna is full of that,
which are associated.
In fact, Sajjad, I restored the grave where he's rested, Mohammed Quli Qutub Shah, and I put lights in also without disturbing the heritage. I did that also. I hope you visited it after that. It's a long time since I've
been involved with the work there, and I visit regularly, so I keep looking at that.
That's nice.
But then there are a lot of things are happening which like Khawali.
Yeah.
People say, what is the problem with the Khawali there? I don't have a problem with Khawali per se, or some event being organized there. But about 5-6 years back, you are talking about Qudishais and their culture and the culture of Hyderabad. I am sitting in front of you wearing black. I'm not a Shia. I'm a Hyderabadi. I'm Qutub Shahi, not the Qutub Shahi, but the Dakhni family who observes all those things. So I have, share the same traditions and same culture. So the problem is, we had this great concert there sometime in Muharram. That is something which,
it's not digestible.
Yeah, what I keep reminding people is that there's something called the sanctity of the grave, and also, कि भाई जिसकी खबर है वो क्या चाहता था, आप खवाली बैठ के गा रहे हैं मुहर्रम में, that is wrong.
No, that's not done. I never allowed it. My time.
These sensibilities have to be very, very, rigidly enforced there. That is a major thing that hurts me.
Those who are in charge should be educated about these sensibilities. Those who are in charge.
No, not necessarily. The whole city has to be.
They give the permission.
I've had people wishing.
They give the permission. So permissions during the Muharram time should be restricted.
I'm not blaming them. Of course, नहीं देना चाहिए, वो ठीक है अपनी जगह. But उनको भी इसलिए blame नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Why I'm not blaming anyone is because I have people in recent years. This never happened before in Hyderabad to me. I've had people in recent times ringing me up on the 1st of Muharram and wishing me a Happy New Year.
My God.
ऐसा भी होता है. So we have failed there. We have not, conveyed our culture to the next generation as well as we should have. ये problem है. That is our failure. अब वो उससे ये होता है कि हर चीज चलती है भाई, everything is okay. तो ये मैंने कहा कि ये चीजें जरा ख्याल रखें, और वो 11 जनवरी का जो डेट था पॉसिबल, वी शुड मेंटेन दैट, और ये सेंसिबिलिटीज को देखते रहे तो वी कैन डू अ गुड जॉब. एंड I would wish if a group is formed and this thing is taken forward. Unfortunately, quite a few of us might not be able to read the report that comprises 350 pages with photographs of the first Jashan, and of course, to a lesser degree of the following Mohammed Quli Qutub Shah. 1958 is a comprehensive book of 350 pages, which is available in the Idara because Idara published it. It has photographs, not very good photographs. The originals might be there somewhere. You'll have to go and dig them up. So we have to involve these institutions who have had a long association with Hyderabad and Dakkini culture. The foundation of the Idara itself was to bring focus back to Qutub Shahi culture. Because remember, Hyderabad is not just Nizams.
Yes, exactly. I would like also to reiterate.
Much more than the Nizam.
Yes, yes.
We also know that there was a terrible destruction of Hyderabad when the Mughals came in. Agar aap Nemat Khan Ali ki Marsiya padhe, the final line, Farsi mein hai, uska rough translation English mein hota hai ki, "Oh Lord, another deluge like the one you sent in Noah's time for the sake of the people of Golkunda." And this is a lament, a prayer from a Mughal poet, not a poet of Golkunda, not a Dakkini. Mughal उसकी तबाही देख के इतना परेशान होता है, उसके दिल में इतना होता है कि he says कि "Oh Lord, send another flood."
Yes, we did have a flood in 1911 which changed the city's spatial settlement also. Well, with that, I think Gopal.
Yeah. So I would like to invite Andrew. We're happy to finally have Andrew here, and he has some ideas. And he's currently in the UK, and he shared a few pictures of what he saw there, and he has a few ideas for Hyderabad. Before handing it over to Andrew, I wanted to share a little bit about the 7th of October and how it came about, the background behind 7th of October. In the year 2017, I was guiding a heritage walk, and somebody asked me how old the city was. And I suddenly realized that the city had finished 425 years. And that struck me as a very strange fact that the completion of 425 years of a city as big as Hyderabad has gone past without any celebration. And first, of course, I was not sure if 425 is really the number. So I had to calculate it twice to make sure that the number is right. Then I realized that something has to be done if it's the 425th year. And then I visited Sajjad Bhai. उस time पे उनके office में गया था और Center for Deccan Studies के office में मैंने उनको कहा कि can we find out the date on which Hyderabad city was founded? So that we can celebrate this. आपको याद होगा उस दिन मैं आपके ऑफिस में आया था तो उन्होंने HK शेरवानी का किताब निकाले थे तारीख दक्कन, and then he opened a page and he said this book reference ये कहता है कि on the day the moon was in the house of Leo and Jupiter was in its own house and all the celestial bodies were in auspicious positions. Mohammed Quli Qutub Shah laid the foundation of the city. और उन्होंने chronogram का story बताया, फरकुंडा बुनियाद, और उन्होंने जो वहाँ पे मर्सी पढ़ा तो उसका भी उन्होंने जिक्र किया था. So then he said go to some astrologer and find out कि कौन सा तारीख पे आता है, or that will be the foundation date. So some astrologer that I knew, मैंने उनको कहा कि 1591 में when was the moon in the house of Leo and Jupiter in its own house? तो उन्होंने कहा कि 7th अक्टूबर को है. ठीक है, मैं तो कोई एस्ट्रोलॉजर नहीं हूँ, ना कि मैं कोई एस्ट्रोनॉमर. तो ये
के पास पहुंचना पड़ा आपको जी. But my point is,
हाँ समझता हूँ सर. I'm just giving my 7th of
1591 भी जो है वो है ना, we don't have that reference. We have all this very flowery description of when it happened, but we don't know the year that it was. It was not 1591.
प्रोग्राम का अगर हम ट्रांसलेशन करते हैं तो 1591 ही आता है ना सर. उसका हिजरी ईयर का इक्विवेलेंट आता है when we translate the chronogram of Farkunda Bunyad, which was the chronogram given to the city of Hyderabad.
Farkunda Bunyad is a lot later, 7 years after the foundation of the city. 1007 Hijri. 7 years after the completion of the Charminar.
ठीक है सर, ठीक है. मतलब है कि
Charminar is yeah half.
आपने उस दिन 1591 कहा मुझे, और आपने कहा कि ये
1591 ये है कि वो तोजक में ये लिखा हुआ है कि 999 first Muharram someone placed a tazia in the center of the city. I fail to understand how that fellow calls it the center of the city when the city was not there. So there are a lot of confusions.
अगर तारीख में कोई गलती है तो मैंने आपसे ये लिया है ये तारीख, और आपने कहा 1590.
आपने मुझसे नहीं लिया. You've taken it from an astrologer, not from me.
नहीं sir, 1591 was in the house of
Actually, this
house. ठीक है, मानता हूँ कि गलत हो सकता है, मतलब I'm not an astrologer. 7th of
I know I quoted that because I remember it.
Yeah, Gopal Krishna, 1 second, and Sajad Bhai also. I mean, this 1591 is mentioned in H.K. Sherwani. I have seen, I mean, I have it with me. It is saying 1591. So it is mentioned here. 1590 foundation was laid, and 1591 Charminar was completed.
No, I think Sherwani says
Sherwani.
में रखते हैं एक अलग सा इवेंट रखते हैं. ये बहस हम
my contention there is that it could not have been completed within 1 year.
ठीक है सर, आपका
Yeah, it is there, but Sherwani is a document that we all refer to, and 91 is mentioned. It's not a conversion. I mean, that's not our
1991 he mentions, yeah. But popularly we follow 1591
is mentioned.
ठीक है सर, मतलब सर, even if this is wrong, I'm willing to concede that this date is wrong, this year is wrong, so I have no attachment to this.
Nobody said
wrong नहीं है. मेरा point है significance. What was the significance?
No, if it is 1592, we get an
extra. The significance of 7th October is nothing. The significance of first, even if you look at that way, first Muharram.
Right.
That is the significant date. But then again, Muharram, you have trouble. You cannot have a celebration in Muharram. So you lose the entire population of Hyderabad, at least the old people who still believe in our culture. They will not be there for the celebration. That was my only condition. Otherwise, आजकल तो पूरी दुनिया आस्था पे चल रही है, मुल्क आस्था पे चल रहा है. अगर आपने 7 अक्टूबर कह दिया तो कुछ भी कह लो, हर एक के लिए चलता है. आपको आजादी है, मुझको आजादी है. But ये है कि going by a date, and the significance was 1st of Muharram.
हाँ सर, मैं आपके बात से बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ, और आपकी बात completely valid है, और any other date is equally good for me. I'm not attached to 7th of October. Any date
it should be equally good for everybody, Gopal. It should be, fit into every calendar properly, and the popular date should be chosen without, avoiding Muharram and all.
The point is, all this debate has taken place from 1942-43 when Zohar started this debate about a celebration for Hyderabad. Till 1958, this has been discussed in various places, and all of that is documented. Finally, they said we don't have a date for the city, and we have to highlight Quli, because when you even talk about Hyderabad, there is a limitation. When you are talking about Mohammed Quli, you have all the other aspects that you can talk about. And Zohar being one of the greatest custodians of Qutub Shahi inheritance and culture, he took great pains in reviving that. He said we can also have Khawali there, we can also have poetry there, all that. So that is why he came up with the day of the death of Mohammed Quli as the appropriate day for celebration. And he arrived at that because there was a tradition of celebrating the Urs of Bade Malik, the founder of the dynasty, in Golkunda during Qutub Shahi times. That is my content.
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सो मच. ये बहस अभी यहीं पे समाप्त कर देते हैं. And I would now like to invite Andrew to share his thoughts. If tech support Ritika is listening to this, could you help set up the pictures that Andrew had shared with us earlier on the presentation, please? There's some issue with my computer, so I'm requesting Ritika to share if she's still here. But over to you, Andrew. Let me put you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, Andrew. You were on mute. So 1 second.
Yeah, now it's working.
Yeah. So
good.
Are you able to?
Yeah, we are able to hear you. Yes.
I can
Andrew,
see
are you able to
pictures.
hear? Could you speak so that we know? Oh, yeah.
I can speak. Can you hear me? And I can see the pictures as well. So thank you for that. That's very good. I'll talk a bit first, and then I'll come on to the pictures, if that's okay. But good evening, everybody. I've been listening to the discussion about the age of Hyderabad and all. So whether you are going to pick today as your day to celebrate whatever number of years or not, I'm not going to get into a quarrel about that. But I think it is nice to have a day to mark a foundation of a city, and I also think that undoubtedly there's so much to celebrate in Hyderabad in terms of its heritage, its history, its culture, all of those things. And I feel very lucky to have been living in Hyderabad for 3 years. It just happens that I've managed to have a break back with my father in the UK just now, so hence I'm not with you in Hyderabad at the moment, but my heart is very much there, and I should be back in Hyderabad in a few weeks' time. I mean, in 3 years of living in Hyderabad, I've very much come to know and love the city through exploration, through talking to people, through listening to stories that people have to share and tell. All of these things really are very special to me in making me feel welcome, in making me feel at home, and are very similar to what I like to do in my own country and when I visit different parts of my own country in the past. I think it's great that groups like Hyderabad Trails exist and help bring heritage to a bigger group of people. It's only for people to understand and be proud of the history and heritage of their city that we can really help to preserve and protect what we have for the future. And I think over the years, a lot of very valuable and beautiful buildings in my own city, London, have been lost. I've been looking while I've been back here and not been able to go out as usual at a lot of historical pictures, and I've seen so many buildings from the past that have been lost in recent years because of development, because of other things, and that's a casualty, I guess, as we develop. But for quite a few years now in the UK, there has been a very strong heritage lobby, a strong movement to protect buildings that are of significant importance through their history or heritage, or through the fact that something very significant actually happened in that place. There's many different reasons for that, and I think the UK has become quite good at doing that in recent years, and that not only has helped in raising awareness within communities about the importance of buildings there, but it's also helped, I think, in protecting some of these buildings. And so the pictures that I wanted to share are just ones that I've observed walking around in my area. It's so often said that if you live somewhere, you never really explore it. And I have to admit, the small area in South London that I live is not one that I've really walked around and looked closely at in the past. I've always been going up to the centre of London and visiting the more famous historical parts of my city and bringing my guests to those places. But because of the situation here at the moment, I've had the chance to really explore closer to home in much more detail. And I've come across a number of buildings of significant local interest, that even I hadn't known about. And the reason that I've come to know about those buildings, quite simply, is because of the information that's been put out. In particular, the buildings have plaques of different kinds affixed to them. It's not only for buildings, it's also for other structures as well, such as there is one spring in a park, and there's a plaque affixed to where that spring is, and the significance of that spring is also captured on it. And I've actually learned quite a lot by walking around and looking for these plaques and finding them. So it got me thinking that, maybe if we can look at doing something similar in Hyderabad, if we can find a partner to put up similar kinds of plaques to the ones in the photos that I hope somebody will show while I'm talking, I don't know. Then we could. So here we are. This is one of the such plaques, and if you see the next picture, you can see the building on which this is yeah. So this building. The first picture you saw, you can see the plaque is just by the door, and the other picture is the picture of the spring, and also there's a plaque affixed to that spring, talking about that spring. So this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It can be for a building, it can be for some other structure, and it's a really good way for visitors to actually understand what the significance is. But equally, and my case in point, I think illustrates it. It's equally important for the locals to have that understanding as well. And in many cases, if you suddenly get told that a building in your neighborhood is of some significance, of some cultural importance, some historic importance, or whatever, you'll have your eye more on that building. You'll be more concerned. If that building suddenly becomes endangered for some reason, you're more likely to talk about it. This is the fact that I think has probably saved quite a lot of buildings across my city. And I think it's something that we can think about in Hyderabad, perhaps. Maybe there'll be one or two corporates who do have an interest in the heritage agenda that might be willing to sponsor some of these. And if we were to have such plaques, the benefit, as I see it, is one, greater awareness and potentially greater protection for places of historic importance within the city. And the second is that we can also produce maps. So where the plaques are produced and in a concentrated area, so a map can be produced for visitors to follow around and look for the different buildings with the plaques and find those as well, which will enhance the. I mean, I think it is a growing tourism industry in Hyderabad. Finally, more and more people are coming to Hyderabad, I think, according to the statistics prior to COVID, year on year. That trajectory, I think, once we return to some greater degree of normality, is something that should only increase and grow again. And having that kind of very basic infrastructure to guide tourists to see particular neighborhoods and spot out particular buildings within it, can have a lot of potential. And of course, if you have a trail of people walking around those areas, also they bring with them the opportunity of spending money within that local economy. So this, in very simple terms, and it's not very well thought out, is the idea that I wanted to bring as my contribution to the discussion this evening. When I'm back in Hyderabad, I certainly intend to start speaking to some people in government and some people from some of the bigger corporates who I know are well disposed to the heritage agenda about the possibility of developing this idea. And this is why I've been collecting these pictures on this visit. I don't know what other people think about this. I've seen one positive comment, which is welcome. But I fear that if we don't do something, the risk is that more and more buildings will sadly disappear. And even in my 3 years here I've seen some quite precious places being made way for progress and development, and sometimes that can't be avoided, I accept, but I think sometimes with better knowledge and better awareness, perhaps alternative approaches can be found. So that's my main message for this evening. I look forward to be back and in action again at some point in November, and I obviously very much look forward to when we can all be physically together again and have much better discussions. I know many people were on this call earlier this evening, and obviously it's gone well over the hour that was advertised, and many people have had to leave. But I'm very keen to hear from people once it gets posted on the Hyderabad Trails channel later on, what people think in principle about the idea, and do they want to work on it. Yeah, so that's it really for me. So thank you. And again, going back to the beginning, anybody who is celebrating or thinking of today as a day to celebrate Hyderabad's anniversary of whatever year, 428 or otherwise, my congratulations. And anyway, congratulations on living in such a great city. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we've extended much beyond the stipulated time. We said it was a 1 hour session. It's been more than 2 hours since we started. So without taking too much time off our audience, we will close now. We'll have a round of closing comments from everybody. But I would first like to thank Andrew, sir, for this wonderful idea. In fact, exploring the heritage of the city, personally, I've had problems locating places like Malaka Baichanda's tomb. I went around in circles for hours without being able to find where exactly the tomb was. Similar was the case with Paiga tombs as well. Of course, now with Google Maps, things are easier. But I think it would be a big step forward if we could have these plaques announcing heritage properties, heritage monuments or heritage buildings wherever they are. And currently I'm in a place called Landor in Mussoorie, which is a historic 200-year-old British town. And everywhere in this hill town, there are plaques, old churches, old buildings. And I think a few years ago, the municipality had taken the initiative to create a heritage trail and then put up plaques and explanatories everywhere. So when you're just walking around, you read about the tree, you read about the old churches and buildings, and it's quite a lovely experience to be doing that. And I think doing the same for Hyderabad would be a wonderful idea as well. So those are my closing comments. I would invite everybody else also to have a round of closing, whatever your thoughts are before we close. And also, I welcome the listeners to share your closing comments on the comments. Of course, we'll be putting them up on the video as well. So, any order, I mean, whoever feels like sharing, please go ahead and let's do a round of closing. But my gratitude, thank you to everybody for coming here, for agreeing to be a part of this. And I'm excited that next year we could have a much bigger festival for Hyderabad 430. So thank you. And I invite the co-panelists to share their ideas. Thank you.
Hello, I think I'll start off. I think it's gone way beyond the timing which we had set for ourselves and our own personal schedules. But what I was wanting to add on also was the fact that Hyderabad is known for its culture, and it's known for its, when we talk about culture, we talk about obviously about things which are, which are non-negotiable. They'll always be there. Language, food, cuisine, that is, and in terms of poetry, stories, all these will always be there. But there are things about Hyderabad which are in a state of, of vanishing or diminishing. When you talk about, say, the ones which we are famous, where we really talk about the Hyderabad architecture, the one which we are really concerned with. There's also rocks, there's also lakes. All these are basically lowering in its value and in its presence. We need to be very conscious that we need to get all people in, that this whole love of Hyderabad, pride of Hyderabad should basically help in in preserving all these things which can easily, we're right now actually going through so much of contention regarding even the heritage of architectural heritage of Hyderabad. And there are so many discussions, and yet sometimes we're helpless in the way, in the way it's going on in terms of, buildings are being considered for demolishing, lakes are getting polluted, they are diminishing, they are being taken over by the real estate people. When we're talking about the rocks are getting, they are basically being cut down for, again, real estate development. Even though our real estate growth is the reason why we got the most dynamic city in the world, I don't know whether it's a tag I'll be very happy about, if it's at the cost of all this, which is part of what Hyderabad is famous for. So I think all of us, all this passion and energy which we are showing right now, should go for. We should also, I think, we should try to get the government involved, because a lot of this is to do with government policies, and we need to be able to make it more productive for Hyderabad. And another thing also would be that we need to commemorate. If you're talking about an annual thing, we need to commemorate people of Hyderabad who have contributed to its growth, and in their personal contribution, anything like that. I think we should be able to make a dossier and be able to pay a tribute to each one of them. Who is every year or something, like an award or a presentation or something of theirs. I think that would also it will go a long way in also recognizing those people who have actually contributed to
Thank you so much.
Hyderabad.
Thank you. Sajjad bhai, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? Closing comments के दौर से. अच्छा, आपका आवाज, एक सेकंड सर, आपका आवाज
जी 1958 की जो बात हो रही थी, जो सेलिब्रेशन हुआ था यौम मोहम्मद कुली, on that occasion Makhdoom had penned a poem, Bhagmati, very famous poem. तो उसी के दो चार लाइन आपको सुना देता हूँ कि शहर बाकी है, मोहब्बत का निशान बाकी है, दिलबरी बाकी है, दिलदारी है जहाँ बाकी है, सरे फहरिस्त
चश्मो निगाह बाकी है,
तू नहीं है, तेरी चश्मे निगरां बाकी है. तो ये है कि अभी भी शहर में, आई एग्री विद नईमा मैडम दैट a lot is vanishing, but ये है कि अभी भी बाकी हैं कुछ ऐसे आसार जिनको बचाया जा सकता है, जिनको बचाया जाना चाहिए, so that at least we can let the coming generations know what it was all about, because built structures are the most immediately apparent linkages that we have with our past. Museums हैं, दूसरे सब चीजें हैं, किताबें हैं, but a monument always has that first contact that you have with your past, so that is very important. और फिर जो है श्रीवास्तव साहब ने कहा था कि नोहा खां है मेरे माजी के खंडर इन बस्तियों में, कुछ सुतूं बाकी हैं जिस पे चलकर लम्हे बोलते हैं. My past, laments arise from the ruins of my city, but there are still a few pillars which remains, from atop of which my past hearkens me. So कुछ है बाकी अभी शहर में, इतनी आसानी से मिट नहीं सकता ये शहर. मेरी I thank Gopal Krishna for taking this initiative. कोई भी डेट पे हो, कभी भी हो ये ज्यादा जरूरी है.
Vasanta ji, would you like to go next? Just close some few closing comments.
Yeah, I agree. Hello. Yeah, I agree with Sajjad and repeat my own same point that we have to do. There is no discussion whether we should do or we should not do, because the next generation comes, and every year we have to remember. I mean, if it is not possible logistically, there is this 430th year coming up, and this is our generation. We have to speak up and teach others. And about the date, I think there will be definitely some discrepancy, because that's a lunar calendar and that was a lunar calendar, and this is a solar calendar. There's no absolute single date that would come. So we can fix whatever date is approved by experts. But whatever date it is, the 1590, 1591, 92, we are close by. So the year of 430 is coming. So I think this October 7th, because of whatever confusion or whatever it has started, we can think it's the birth of celebrations of 430. So let's start. This is the beginning and plan. We are all here. I congratulate Gopal Krishna for taking this initiative. and you have a good panel. I mean, with Dr. Kedareshwari, Sajjad, Dr. Andrew, and Naima, of course, and others who are not here also. There will be more people, and I'm sure that this is going to be much, much easier now than ever before because of the social media and internet and all these things that are there, which were not there before. So there'll be a lot of participation from people. That was one of the things we achieved in Secunderabad Festival. We could provide a platform for common people to voice their memories, that share their memories, their opinions, their dreams about Secunderabad. All that we could do through media and what the CSIT has done. So this time we can do it better. We should do it. So let's start. Today is the day we have started. So we'll plan it out. And thank you all.
Thank you so much. Kedareshwari ji, अगर आपका भी closing comments.
Yes, I would. Thank you, Gopal. In fact, the two references the August panelists have made to Mahalaka Chandabai's tomb at Maulali, that was a proposal which I had sent to the government of Andhra Pradesh at that time during my tenure for protection, and it is a protected monument. And secondly, the Paiga tombs. I always call the Paiga tombs the Taj of the South. I have brought out a small publication which is reachable. I mean, for everybody to buy. It's 20 rupees. Please visit it and see the Paiga tombs.
Rahmatullah ji hands it out to people at the tombs even today.
Yeah. It's just 20 rupees, and everybody could buy. My experience of celebrations is that whatever you do, make it inclusive, all inclusive. What happens usually is when the Nizam's Jewelry Museum's exhibition, which I curated and I handled, the VVIPs are given huge expensive books, which are about 3,000 rupees, 4,000 catalogs, descriptive catalogs, that just goes home and lies in a corner. But the real scholar is not able to afford it. So whatever we do, make it affordable for one and all, make it an inclusive celebrations. Date doesn't matter. The celebration matters, and making it inclusive is my message. Inclusive for students to senior citizens. So please remember this, and I wish thank the panelists for being so patient. Andrew, hi. I was talking about the Calcutta Centenary Trust. Is Andrew muted or something?
No, I don't think.
Can you hear me? He's muted, I can see.
I can hear you.
Andrew, I was talking about the Calcutta Tercentenary Trust, which worked in collaboration with Government of India to celebrate the 300 years of Calcutta back in 1990. So I wanted to talk about it when you were around. I talked about the restoration, the setting up of the city gallery, etc., etc. And the second proposal which I put, Sajjad, I think all of us can get together and pressurize the Department of Archaeology in setting up the City Museum in Khazana building. We could plan it out because the funds had come in and the concept is there. We could work that out. So for the next celebration, at least let the wheels start moving towards setting up the City Museum of Hyderabad, even though we do not have the original artifacts, and most of the museums would not part with their artifacts. But we could always do with artificial intelligence, for which we would need to also get sponsorship. I think, Andrew, I would look to you also for sponsorship. The British Council for sponsoring some of the events of Hyderabad. Y'all did that for Calcutta. I know you're attached to Victoria Memorial, but you do have an office in Hyderabad. So you all should come forward. So with that, thank you very much and a very good night.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now invite Andrew for closing comments, and then we will close with his comments.
Okay, well, I've only spoken briefly. I'm excited by all your ideas and energy and everything. I have to manage expectations about being able to directly fund, but I do think there are people in Hyderabad that really do care about the heritage in the city, and there are a number of potential willing sponsors within the city. I must also point out that I don't work for the British Council. But this is a confusion that I have to always correct. The British High Commission is a separate entity to the British Council, but we do try to work together as well as we can. I think I was encouraged by the comments in reply to my suggestion, and again, that's something I am genuinely keen to try to push forward in partnership with Gopal and others who are of similar mind. I think it's a small contribution, not ambitious in terms of the cost, but one that could have potentially a big impact. I hope that will come up. So thank you for those that replied in the comments, which unfortunately I can't see on whatever the setup I have here is. But somebody has sent me a screenshot of some of them. So thank you. And thank you, Arvind, for your kind words about my recent article in the Times of India. I'm grateful for that. Equally, I commend Gopal for his own contribution, which I enjoyed reading very much. As I said at the conclusion of my last speech, I look forward to when we can all physically be together, out exploring and enjoying and witnessing all that Hyderabad has to offer. And what I enjoy most is bringing new visitors to the city to see parts of the city that they just didn't imagine existed. And the same actually extends to many people that are actually from the city too, I have to say. So thank you all, and we'll be together again soon, I'm sure.
Right. Thank you so much. I also want to use this opportunity to acknowledge all the support that Andrew has extended to us and to the city. Last year, in fact, on this day, October 7th, we celebrated the Foundation Day in Bella Vista, the Administrative Staff College of India. And it was only thanks to Andrew's letter and intervention that we could get the place. That was just one day before. I mean, I had written to them, there was no response, but just I think one day before, Andrew shot off a letter, and then the monument was granted to us to host the anniversary celebrations of the Foundation of Hyderabad. And I myself, I remember I was in Pondicherry at that time and I had visited only on the day, but Andrew was there in the background taking care of everything. And I've seen him guide walks for his friends from the UK in India, and he is probably the best tour guide I've seen, better than many other people in Hyderabad. He knows a lot more about the city than most of us do. And I think in just 3 years, he's explored the city more than most people that I know in Hyderabad, and that is an understatement, even if I say that. So thank you so much, sir. At the same time, I also want to extend my gratitude and thankfulness to everybody in the panel. Sajjad Bhai, I've known him for 5 years. Whenever I requested him to host either a poetry session or a talk on Dakkani literature, poetry, architecture, Lama Khan mein unhone hamesha, he's always graced our request. We've had some amazing sessions in Lama Khan with him. Or जब भी कोई भी historical doubt था या कोई सवाल था, कुछ मदद चाहिए था, I would land up in his office without announcement. Center for Deccan Studies has always received me very graciously, and even anybody who approaches me for any historical question or research, I always send them to Center for Deccan Studies, and he's very supportive with that. At the same time, Vasanta ji, we met very recently, but she's been very, very supportive. In fact, but for her, this would not have happened. I almost gave up on the idea of doing this. I was not sure if there's any point or if it was of any use. But we just connected, and then I shared that October 7th is coming. Can we do something? And she ignited that the fire of enthusiasm, and it was all planned in the last minute. As you know, it was only yesterday that we finally finalized everything, reached out to people, and hosted this. So once again, a big thank you to Vasanta Sobaji and to everybody. One call, everybody agreed to come. So I'm full of gratitude to everybody for that, and I'm excited that next year we'll have a much bigger festival. Also, I want to thank Ritika Parwal. She's in the background putting this together and supporting us. I don't know if she was on camera, but in between I went off once or twice because of the bad internet signal. I'm from the hills. I'm from the Himalayan mountains, and if not for her, this session would also not have happened. So thanks to Ritika, and thanks to everybody who made this possible. So with a lot of gratitude and celebration, thank you so much. We will close. This video will stay on YouTube, so you can share the link and invite people to watch it. Right? Thank you once again, sir, all of you, madams, and hopefully, or Sajjad Bhai. Thank you. A very good night to all of you. Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night, and thanks.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.